right. Well, we're coming back. So as people come back, we're going to spend some time talking about the homework that you had where you were doing your informal practice of paying attention to what you put in your body. So, well, let's list some of the things. That's okay, yeah. List some of the things that you guys paid attention to that you're putting in your body. Yeah.
What comes from a television speaker?
TV. Mm-hmm. What other things do people take note of during the week?
Computer.
What with the computer? Was it anything in particular? Like surfing the net, or was it games or
Shows, I guess.
shows? Okay, because I know there's a lot of things with the computer.
Computer could be anything.
Yeah. I think it's like wide open with the computer, right? There's a lot of different things that we could be doing and consuming with the computer, putting in our bodies.
Same could be applied with a television as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
not as expensive as a computer.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that. What else? What did other? Yeah, go ahead.
The automatic start of the next episode,
Oh yeah.
I took care to turn it off and get one up. I don't want an automatic next episode. I want to choose to come back and watch the next episode.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they start playing the next episode before as the credits roll for the episode that just went off. Yeah.
I like the idea of the show. I like the ending of the show.
I'm being mindful of what I'm putting into my body
Yeah.
and what's happening. I'm influenced by this TED Talk because it's research and it says all this. But
It sounds like
it made me very aware that all these things are happening to me because of other people's interests, big companies.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna put up here what you just said, like your phone alerts. You know.
I went into settings and went to my notifications and I just started turning them off app by app. And I realized I could probably turn just about all of them off.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go to them when I am ready to go to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll cause me a little bit of social conflict, but it'll work out.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
About what I eat too.
What you eat. Uh-huh.
So like when I'm eating something like junky, it doesn't necessarily do anything and I'd rather not have it, but sometimes I still make the choice to not eat it, to eat it anyway.
Okay, yeah, so like sometimes food like junky stuff, or just food in general. Go ahead.
Fluids,
Okay.
like staying hydrated, makes your body feel better. Especially in all this heat.
Yeah. What else?
Anybody got a swimming pool at their house? Or apartment? Or
Oh, hold on, let's see, anesthesia, go ahead.
Found what kind of found you put in your mind,
Like-
like music.
Music, okay.
Yes.
So the question is, we were talking about with the homework, the homework was to pay attention to the things that we put into our body, things that we consume, and to bring some, so the question is, what did you put in your body? Like, so what did you do? Go ahead.
Well, my son's been in the hospital since last Thursday night, so I've eaten more fast food in the last 5 days than I have in the last 5 months. And
Okay.
I've put on about 5 pounds, so I'm,
So fast foods and, what else?
My earphones.
Your earphones, and what's in your
Listening to
earphones?
Music or podcasts.
Okay.
And feeling kind of a relief when I wasn't doing it as well.
Podcast, okay. What else?
Is he gonna be okay?
Oh, special concern, yeah. What are some of the other things? Go ahead, Cheyenne.
The medication that I take.
Oh, good, Medications, yeah. Yeah, those are things you put in our body, yep. I hadn't thought about those, yeah. What else did anybody know?
I think communication.
Communications?
Talk with
Oh,
neighbors.
oh, okay.
And like, I don't know how to say it.
Like conversations?
Yeah, like when you talk to people, I mean, what they say, like influences your mind and stuff.
Okay, conversations, like, you know, what others say.
Yeah.
Okay. Philip, you had one.
Cooking for myself.
Okay, cooking for yourself. Oh, go ahead, Kenny.
Information and ideas. I was reading a workbook for my ethics class, and one of the essays in particular brought up some ideas about some things that I had never thought about before.
Yeah, I'm gonna put here workbooks for class, because there's, like, so that's one source, your information ideas coming from, you said reading.
Yeah.
So it could be workbooks for class, or what else?
The effects of typing on a computer for 8 hours a day. And I felt this before, but when you're typing and the effects on your wrist and hands.
Oh, okay. So typing kind of like as an activity, maybe?
For work,
Uh-huh.
like when you have to stand at a computer.
Okay.
What sort of occupation do you do?
Good for DES, so
Well, what are some other, are we missing anything? Things that you put into your, that you noticed this week?
Really, really important to have edification from the people that you're close to.
Okay.
I was watching TED Talks one day, end to end, standing up in between each one. They're only 18 minutes each. And my wife came in and she said, David, I love that you watch TED Talks instead of trash TV.
Well, I'm gonna put that up there, trash TV, because that's like one, right? Trash,
She had
trash
specifics,
TV.
but I forgot which one she said.
I
Yeah.
actually watched a bunch of TED Talks.
I'll put
last
your
week as
TED
well.
Talks.
I really like it.
What else? Am I missing anything else that you guys thought of? Yeah, go ahead.
Planet Earth documentary.
So documentaries, things like that, okay. So, as you guys were paying attention to the things that you put in your body this week, your homework was to kind of think about what reactions did you have? Like what were, as you consumed it? So what were the sensations, thoughts, feelings, emotions that you had as you consumed some of these things? What were some of the things that came up? Go ahead, Cheyenne.
So for my medications, obviously I have to take them every day for my ADHD and anxiety and all that stuff, but most of them I'm like, why am I taking this? It's gross. Like I used to have, I used to hate taking them because I hated it. And now I'm like, ugh, I have to take it. If I don't take it, I don't feel right the next day, and I feel kind of like, I'm trying to figure out how to word it. If I don't take it at a certain time every day, it doesn't really, I feel like it's not doing its job, and it's on me. It's like on my fault that I'm not taking it.
Okay, so I hear like fault, and then you're saying you said gross, feeling
Yeah.
gross.
Like right now, I'm on an antibiotic, it's huge, so I have to break it in half to take it, because I'm like, I can't swallow that much.
You said thoughts about why am I taking it?
Yeah.
What else? Go ahead.
Sensation I'm going to call savory.
Savory.
There's this human kibble that I eat called the Power Bar. And it's got these little soft white parts in it.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know, macadamia nut except white chocolate. And when I taste it, when my tooth goes into it, I just really slow down and did it
Okay.
mindfully and savored each one.
Okay, so these are savory. You said a slowing down. Okay.
I think savoring something is different from savory.
Yeah, I think.
That's different.
Could
Well,
be.
that's okay. So that's what he was feeling. So it could be, that's just his experience. It could be savory and savoring. Yeah. So you explain kind
And
of like
delicious and pleasurable.
delicious.
I mean, if it's savory, that means it can be savory.
Delicious and pleasurable thinking. Ooh, I like this. Pleasurable.
Flavor section.
What other thoughts, feelings about? I hope I'm putting this in the right places. If you guys think they should go to a different place, let me know. Go ahead, Philip.
The satisfaction of cooking the food just right and having it taste delicious.
Okay. Satisfaction? Okay, good.
Can I bring up something I forgot to mention?
Yeah.
Well, I actually took a week off from exercising, and so I felt less energized and less motivated when I didn't
Okay,
exercise.
let me see how do I put that. So putting in your body, I guess we'll just put exercise.
Yeah.
Putting in your body, exercise. And the feelings that came up, you said like less energy.
Less energy from not exercising.
Yeah, less energy. So we're just coming up with whatever comes up, you know, they don't have to like necessarily match with any of those. Any thoughts or emotions that came up with that?
I miss exercising.
I miss exercising. Any emotions?
Yeah, lots of emotions, but I feel like things just felt different. My emotions, I think I felt like more aware of certain negative emotions than I.
Okay, I'll just put some negative emotions. So if you couldn't really name like maybe what they are, but you did know that they felt what you would call negative,
Or maybe
right?
my reactions were a little bit different too,
Okay.
like maybe I would have like slowed down or reacted differently.
Okay. Felt different, okay. Anybody else? What else came up as you were consuming these things that you listed up there?
Felt guilt for eating junk food because I'm gaining weight.
Oh. Guilty.
Yep.
I'm gaining weight. Sorry. Okay. What else? Yeah.
So sometimes, like, I don't, it doesn't fit in any of those boxes, but if I can, like, I was able to be aware of something that was happening, and then what is that, and then close my eyes, and then I can see sort of like a bunch of like rapid images and pictures about, and then investigate like why do I see that, or why do I experience that, so around, email.
Oh,
Which is like my
we
one
didn't
of
put that up there. That's a good one, like email.
Yeah, email. Just so like the email coming, like what is that about? Why do I have a hard time responding? Like what is that? And then trying to kind of like the similar, what is that negative emotion? Like why? And then being able to not necessarily have it, those things, but more of it's a general sense of images of my own self from little up, and it's like a movie.
Oh, okay. So maybe you thought you're just like kind of referring to the past.
Like every single
kind
time
of?
I felt that way. It's
Like
like it's a movie of every single time I felt that way. Like what is that? Why?
Would it be
is
like
that?
reflecting on the past and bringing it forward? Or
Like,
no?
every time, like, opening up a progress report and seeing that, like, a bunch of scenes like that, you know, of
Okay.
when I feel like that same thing is in a movie in my head of really, but rapid fire, different things, and like, what does that mean? But it's all like pictures, so not, but there's obviously feeling associated with that, so that's, I was able to connect some of those things, like,
Okay, yeah. So like connect. So see yourself to be connecting things together, kind of. I mean, I'm just gonna put it like that as kind of just like an idea.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's an image, it's images. you
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So that's what came up for you. So there's a lot of different kinds of. Anything else that's missing up here for you?
In regards to a TV show I started watching this week, Laughter. It's very funny.
Okay. Sensations.
I guess sensationally laughter.
Yeah, let's just put it there. And your emotions that you were feeling and your thoughts, what were those?
Emotion would be joy, thoughts just this show is ridiculous.
Okay. All right.
This is ridiculous and amazing and I love it.
That was ridiculous. I love it. Okay. All right. So this is good. So because what we're doing is today we're talking about. Just broke it. All of the different things that you can put into your body, and you guys came up with a lot of things. It's not just food and fluids, which is what we think about coming, but there's all different ways that things come into our body, and we're going to try and think about how to apply mindfulness in this domain so that you can think about how you can make choices that are beneficial to you, because not all of these things could be classified as bad, right, or not beneficial to you. There's a lot of things in here that that we do, that we consume, that could be detrimental or not beneficial for us, but then they could be beneficial for us. But when you were looking at, so you talked about, you guys have listed the things that come into your, your mouth, things you're eating, but then also through your eyes and your ears. And when you were talking about food, what were some of the things that came to mind what were you aware of, as you were with the eating that came to mind? Like you were taking the time during that practice to really bring awareness to what you're putting in your body regarding food. What are some of the things that come up when you're doing that? What are some of the things that you're attending to? Taste, texture, what else? There's a lot of things that you can do. Temperature. You guys can refer back to when we did the raisin exercise at the very beginning, the mindful eating exercise. What other things came up?
Smells.
Smell. Anything else? When you guys are doing these eating, you're paying attention to when you're eating and you're not beyond the raisin activity or just last week, we could talk about like the ingredients, what's in it, what's it made of, how much you're eating, what's the quantity of the food, what does it look like. Something else paying attention to about the consumption of food could be the context that you're eating in. Where are you eating the food? There's a lot of awareness that we can bring to what we're eating that you can bring some mindfulness to. So it could be who else you're eating with, what time of day it is, what you're doing at the same time that you're eating, and what other patterns. Did anybody notice any patterns that came with that about the context that you eat? That you brought some awareness to, or you could bring some awareness to when you're eating?
When I'm tired.
When you're tired, you're eating. So some people have a pattern of they're tired and they eat. What might be another pattern that's somebody that you noticed, that you brought awareness to?
Stress and eat.
Stressing and eat, yeah. So you could have noticed, or you might bring some awareness to, when I'm really stressed, I eat, which is true for me. And also, like, there's another time, like sometimes just time of day, and bringing some awareness to, I'm about ready to put something in my body. Is it because, what is cueing me, or am I aware of all of the patterns that I'm bringing? We were talking about habits. So I eat at noon no matter whether I'm hungry or not. So I could bring some awareness to, my patterns for when I'm eating and what I'm putting into my body, so I can make wiser choices about whether I am hungry. So let me see. So we have patterns in response to feelings and emotions. So what are some other ways that you've seen people use things that they put in their body? And not just necessarily with food, but stress eating. We could have patterns of stress related to some of these other behaviors too. Does anybody recognize bringing any like emotions to some of these other things that we might do that we consume and put into our body? Any examples?
Like binge watching could be an example of that. Like, oh, it's just automatically playing, so what else?
Yeah, David, you mentioned that. Yeah, so it might be just like a habitual thing that you're kind of on autopilot, not really paying attention to, and it just starts the next episode, and you're binge watching. Could be related to a pattern of your emotions or feelings that you're having. David, you also mentioned like the phone alerts, and then I also heard people talking about when they hear the alert, having thoughts and feelings and emotions that come up with that, and bringing some mind. Those are places where we can bring some mindfulness so that we can make some wise choices for ourselves. So if you have a pattern of I'm stressed and I eat, doing some mindfulness so that you can bring some awareness to, this is a pattern, I just get on autopilot, I get stressed and I eat. I need to maybe bring some mindful space into that, recognizing that habit that I do, and thinking about your thoughts, being aware of your sensations, your thoughts and emotions, and maybe making a different choice if that's not the right thing for you to do then. Because some of these are okay, so we all have to eat, right? But if we're eating, an autopilot, then we might have some consequences that are related to overeating, or only eating junky stuff, or fast food, or only eating one kind of thing, or being on the computer too much, or things like that. There could be some outcomes, some non-beneficial outcomes to that. So what are some of the non-beneficial outcomes for some of these behaviors if you're on autopilot and you haven't brought any awareness to your consumption of these different things? What are some of the consequences that come up?
More
That
stress.
could occur? More stress, yeah. So you could actually be thinking that you are like dealing with your stress by doing one of these behaviors, and you actually create more stress, yeah. And also the health consequences. So maybe there are some immediate consequences, I'll go to food, about like if you eat too fast or eat too much, we can feel the immediate consequences, but we have the longer term consequences that can come for this. I'm sticking with food because those are kind of, like things I think that we automatically think of, but what about some of the, when we're thinking about the immediate consequences of, say for instance, I don't know, we'll do computers or TV, and the long-term consequences of not bringing mindfulness to that and kind of being on autopilot. What are some of the consequences that could occur?
Well, I used to play a computer game, and I would spend so much time on there. By the time I looked, I would have spent so many hours on it.
Yeah, and then what was the consequence of that? So you had no...
Spending way too much time on it, hands getting tired, realizing, well, I didn't really need to be on there that long, and maybe
Okay.
I should just stop playing it.
Yeah, so she brought up tiredness. That could be like a consequence, an immediate consequence she had for that. Anything else that comes up? Go ahead.
Like what time you go to bed at night, and if you don't go to bed at some time frame, your body could be awakened by the natural sunlight in the morning.
Yeah, so
You're
you
gonna
could have
feel
some...
low.
Yeah, so maybe the consequences that show up later on are like lack of sleep, and then what are some consequences that like come from that?
More grumpy.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like maybe you're from your mood or something like that. Anything else that you can imagine or have experienced? Yeah, so all of these things, like we're gonna, this is the part where we're practicing bringing that mindfulness. We've done lots of different practices where we're talking about bringing mindfulness in as a place to slow things down so that we can have a moment to think about what we're feeling, what we're doing, so we're not operating just out of habit, and that we can make some wise choices for what it is we need to do. Cheyenne, you brought up when you were doing the mindful walking, making a choice to, thinking as you were walking, being aware of your sensations and making a choice to go and get the aspirin or something like that. So even in this, David, you were talking about making that, bringing some awareness so that you made the choice to change the alerts. So bringing that you're going to be thinking about in your life and your daily experiences, in all of these things that we take in information, are they being beneficial to us, and and being able to bring some mindfulness to it so we can stop and have a moment to think about, when I'm doing this, when I'm taking in some of these different kinds of items, how do I feel? Is it something that I want to continue doing? What are my thoughts about it? What's my body sensation? So you can get being aware of those, so you can find out whether they're causing you any kind of stress, whether they're going to lead to an outcome that you want, whether it's going to be beneficial to you or not, and then making an adjustment based on that. So that's all what mindfulness is. So for consumption. So I have I'm going to write down the process of mindful eating so that when you all are practicing doing it at home, you can remember some steps for that. So there's 4 things that you want to do in your process of mindful eating. So the first thing is, you're slowing yourself down so you can have some awareness, is to do 30 seconds of awareness before eating. So 30 seconds, just bringing some awareness to the item, or before consuming. So for mindful eating, so you might bring some awareness to what you brought up before, like the ingredients. How much is there? The context that you're eating. Who's with you? Where are you? Emotions and feelings you have about eating that thing. The taste, the body sensations, and how do you feel right before you're about ready to eat it. So doing 30 seconds of mindful awareness before you eat. So maybe looking at taking in all your sensations, the aroma of the food, the shape of the food, the arrangement of it, and maybe even thinking about where it came from, giving thanks for the preparation of the food, how it became available to you. So then, number 2 is to notice the sensations of each bite. So you are eating it now, and now you're going to pay attention as you eat the item to each sensation, whatever sensations that come up in each bite. So you're doing this pretty slowly, so each bite, taking that bite and kind of going through it like the moment by moment practice that we were doing before. I'm taking a bite and I am paying attention to the sensations, what it feels like in my mouth, the taste, maybe what kinds of emotions come up with that bite, what kind of thoughts you're having with that bite. Number 3 is to attend or tune in to yourself as you eat. So think about your chewing as you eat it. Like, what are you doing? What's maybe how much is in each bite, as you chew? How much are you chewing? What's the speed of your chewing? And you're not changing anything about what you're doing, you're just bringing some awareness to what it is that you're doing. Maybe as you're doing this, you're bringing some attention to yourself and you're thinking about what impulses you have as you're eating. What desires do you have? Maybe you're thinking more, or maybe you're thinking less, or aversions that you have. You're eating this, but you don't exactly like it. You prefer something different. So you're thinking about all the thoughts that come up, all the emotions that maybe come up. I'm tired of eating this again. So anything that comes up, just bringing that in and letting those thoughts and emotions be there as you eat. The last thing is tuning into yourself, so you bring some awareness to noticing when you're full. When have you had enough? So as you're eating, taking some time to bring some awareness to what does it feel like to be full? What does it feel like to want more? And then last in your process, it's going to be bringing caring and kindness as you experience the food. So that's when we were talking about the non-judgmental part and just being kind to yourself as you go through this, and maybe not having to make a judgment about every thought that comes into your mind as you're doing this practice of mindful eating. So that's the practice for mindful eating. So this is something that you all will do in the coming up week. It's on your homework, but since you practiced it last week of just bringing some awareness of what comes into your body, you'll practice doing this process for one of your meals and going through it. It'll really slow you down as you think about and just bring some awareness to all those different pieces. Okay. Let's see. Oh, one of the last things when we're talking here about attending to yourself is bringing some bringing some awareness to how did the food make you feel? You know, after each bite. Did you feel better or worse after the bite of food? Did you feel better or worse after eating the whole entire thing? You know, after the whole entire meal. So you'll bring some awareness to that. Okay. So, that's what I have for that. We gotta be finishing early. Anybody have any questions about that? The mindful eating part? You'll be thinking about bringing some mindfulness to all of the things that you consume. So you listed a whole bunch of things that go beyond eating that you can bring some awareness to and practice mindfulness with. So for the last part of, any questions or anything like that? Comments? No? So the last thing that we'll have today is homework. And it's your last homework. Yay. Last homework. The only thing that you do want to make sure that you remember to bring, and it'll be in the email to you, is your mindfulness logs for next week so that you can turn those in. And what else was it, Blair? There was one other thing that you
So
said.
we're doing the body scan next week.
Oh, right, so bring your yoga mat.
Yoga mat if you want, comfy clothes.
Okay.
And everybody, I think at this point, should have MRI appointments, but,
Who has spare yoga mats, because
I'll bring the yoga mats too, yeah. You don't need to bring one.
You can
just
bring it if you have your own.
If you
Alright.
want to bring one, you can.
alright.
Maria, I don't need this.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to just keep it with the packet?
No.
So
Should we
just
do
keep
that?
in contact with us if you need to change anything about your appointment or if you still need to make one. Oh, I didn't get